The MPC makes its decision today on interest rates. Now, most are expecting rates to be held on at about 7.5%. This is after we had that 100 basis point increase in rates at the last MPC meeting. What is the consensus expectation from your side on rates for today?
Okay, from our side, we think the rates are likely to be left as it was the last MPC meeting. And the major reason for this is the fact that the inflation rate came down a bit at the last results released by the NBS.
Now, the bank has been defending the currency, keeping it within that range of about 3% above and below 150 Naira with its twice weekly auctions. What are you looking for in terms of direction from Sanusi on the governor's policy with regards to the exchange rate?
I think the MPC might still look at the exchange rate critically. Demands at the market were still high yesterday. In fact, at the WDAS, the Naira depreciated by 17 kobo yesterday. So there will still be, we expect some policy statements to be made with regards to addressing the increasing demand and the fact that central bank has been spending a lot of the reserves to actually defend the Naira within the 3% band it had published much earlier.
Just looking at the continued news flow around the banking sector consolidation, the latest from Sanusi is that in the event that no suitors are found for some of those rescued banks, AMCON could be in a position to recapitalize those banks for a year or two. What is the market looking for in terms of clarity on the banking sector going forward?
The market would like to have a conclusion to the resolution of these banks as soon as possible. We know that there have been a lot of suitors and a number of MOUs had been signed. However, I mean, what we saw last week when a court actually more like placed a restriction order on the MOU between Finbank and FCMB made investors to be wary about the direction of the resolution. So we expect central bank to actually make some statements with regards to what they want to do, if they want to place timelines on this or whether they want AMCON to just recapitalize these banks to zero and let them be for a few more months or a few more years before you get suitors that pick them at right prices.
Akeem, which banks specifically do you need clarity on in terms of what is going to be done with those banks?
Finbank is one, Oceanic Bank is another. And these are more like banks that investors are interested in. We would like to know what's going to happen to Bank PHB as well.
Now, let's just take a look at the oil and gas sector. Another key development this week is that the Petroleum Industry Bill could be passed finally after 2 years of being on the table. Now, Nigerian oil workers have threatened to strike if the bill is passed, given the fact that it doesn't address some of the labor concerns. What is the likelihood that after 2 years, this bill could finally be passed?
We think the likelihood is remote. I mean, this is practically the last week of the current administration and the current ministers. So we think rushing to pass the bill this week might be detrimental to the market as a whole. Yes, the PIB is a bill that a lot of the market watchers have been expecting to come into place, but it appears that all the concerns of the various interest groups have not been properly addressed. So I think, I think the government will still want to weigh it properly. Should we sign this into law, or should we just wait and allow all the requests of various interest groups to be addressed? I think they may opt for the latter option.
But the delay in passing the bill has hurt the oil and gas sector to a degree because it's frustrated investors who don't want to tie down funds without clarity on what the final bill will look like. What impact is this further delay going to have on investors who are holding back from growing their investments in that sector?
Unfortunately, it is true that a number of all sector investors are holding back their investment due to the lack of clarity. But I think the PIB is going to be positive when properly implemented to the industry as a whole. So I think waiting for a few more weeks or a few more months to actually get the right bill to be passed that will be acceptable to all parties in the industry will be better than rushing to pass it now and thinking that investors will come in immediately after that. Because investors will still look at the granularity of the bill before they decide whether they will invest or not.
Let's just drill into some of the stocks now. In Nigeria, Guinness Nigeria, top of last week's Guinness list. It had a rally of just over 12%. What's driving that stock higher?
It's essentially the last result that was released by the company. I mean, investors have confidence in Guinness Nigeria. They still have very, very good brands. They have a very decent market share of the market, and the expansion program of the company has been well received by the industry. That's why investors are actually picking on the stock.
Is the company wary of SAB's growing presence in the country, given the fact that it's already investing in increasing its capacity in Onitsha? They recently came out with the results showing that the strong performance in Africa is starting to impact their bottom line. Is this a concern for Guinness, and how is it positioning itself in light of this increased competition?
I think SAB Miller's entry into Nigeria is good for the industry. We are now seeing a three-pronged race between Heineken Nigerian breweries, Guinness and SAB Miller, as against just seeing Guinness and Nigerian breweries dominating the marketplace. So I think it's just competition, and whatever Guinness is doing is reacting to the impact of SAB Miller's presence in Nigeria. At the end of the day, I think it's the consumers that will benefit, and eventually the economy of the country.
Now, just looking at the other end of the scale, a top loser last week, Dangote Sugar Refinery, shedding over 11% on the week. What pushed the stock lower?
Pardon me?
Dangote Sugar Refinery, shedding 11% last week. Does this offer a buying opportunity, or what's pushing the stock lower?
Well, we know that the last financials of Dangote Sugar was not received properly by the market. However, I mean, the fact that it's still a dominant player in the sugar industry still makes it a stock that one can hold in the sector. We think it's right now trading at a very, very attractive price, and we think investors might just want to take a look at the stock.
So at 13.45, would you be getting into the stock?
Absolutely, yes.
Looking at the overall market now, traders are saying that it has sustained a strong footing above its moving average. Does this point to a positive performance for the rest of this week?
We think so, but we also believe that a number of investors will still be on the sidelines trying to see the shape of the new administration's cabinet. So we'd like to see the kind of ministers, the persons that will be the ministers of finance, ministers of industry, and actually see whether there are people that will engender confidence in the economy. So if that happens, then investors might come in and pick up a lot of stocks at very, very attractive levels, as we are seeing them right now.
What stocks are you eyeing out for this week?
We are still bullish about flour mills. We are very, very optimistic about Dangote Flour and Skybank. We think these three stocks actually provide significant upsides to what they are trading right now, based on fundamentals and based on the nature of the economy.
Akeem, just changing tack slightly, what are your thoughts on the NSE CEO's new agenda in terms of introducing new products like ETFs, derivatives and options to the stock exchange in the next 5 or so years?
We think it's something that the market had been waiting for. I think the decision by the stock exchange to actually introduce these products right now is actually a welcome decision. We actually think that they are aware of the constraints, key of which is capacity, both of the players and of the regulators. We also think that the market has been crying for liquidity, crying for additional investment options. So these new products about to be introduced will address the concerns and the yearnings of the markets. So we view it positively.